Hi guys, once again this is Alfred from BinaryOptionsTutor.com here today with another installment in our best MT4 Indicators series. Today we're going to be talking about the RSI, and RSI stands for Relative Strength Index. I'm going to cover three different approaches. Two approaches are going to be outside of the box, one of which is a little preview of a RSI trading strategy that we'll be offering on our site for a small fee. And the other strategies or approaches that we're going to share today, one's very conventional and one's the same approach that you may or may not have heard, depending on whether or not you've seen our earlier videos trading on the trading based around Heikin options. And also we've been sharing this on our Twitter feed as well. So let's just jump right in. Now, if you guys are not familiar with the RSI, the basic or the default setting for the relative strength index, when you add this indicator on your MT4 platform, is going to be 14 on the period. Some people trade rather than a period of 14, the default, they'll trade a period of 7, which some people call a fast RSI. Now, some default levels that you're going to hear, because the RSI works on a scaling from 0 to 100, you'll often hear that anything above 70 means the market is overbought, and anything below 30 means the market is oversold. That's why I have these outer levels here. That level is 70. And also I have this bottom level here, which is 30. Now, what frustrates a lot of people, I believe, in my opinion, is that you're still going to have to interpret the chart. Uh, uh, the oversold and overbought conditions on a relative strength index just means that it's oversold and overbought relative to the conditions in the market inside of that last period. What I mean is, if you got a period of 14 on a RSI, like using this 15-minute chart here, it would mean that right here, when we breach that 70 level, that's telling you that the market is relative to the roughly last 3 hours and a half, the market is overbought. And at some point, yes, we do see the uptrend beginning to fade, that rate of change slowing down, and that consolidation there. And finally, we start to see the market begin to take a turn on our top chart. Now, this is why we recommend finding confluence, first looking at their top chart, and then trading along with some, maybe one or so indicators in your bottom chart. Now, that's the standards of how guys are using RSI, but we're going to clean it up a little bit now and go on to the second approach. Don't know why my system's working slow today. Just a sec. Okay, there we go. Gonna go in here to the levels, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove our 30 level. We're gonna also remove our 70 level. And we're done. As soon as this puppy, okay. Now, This is the way we've been advocating trading RSI. This is kind of, if you're familiar with the Greeks, and I'm covering a lot of these technical terms, but really, all you really have to understand, if you're someone that's formally trained, a lot of guys will use the Greeks and they'll talk about delta. Essentially, all delta is the center. A lot of market makers, all market makers generally like to trade in delta, what's called delta, or their perceived center. This gives them the opportunity of being able to sell whatever instrument or asset to guys who believe that the market's going up, as well as sell to participants in the market that believe that market is going down. Now, we can kind of imitate those market makers by, rather than trying to pick tops and bottoms, simply putting two levels here which are around the center. And what's the center of 0 to 100? It's 50, and we've placed two levels around this center. And when we see a break above this top level here of 55, this would be an opportunity for us to go long. You can see a little ascension there, and you can see a little ascension there. This is over a little bit over an hour, and you did have an opportunity to get out with some profits. When you see a break below this level here, which is 45 on this 15-minute chart, and again we're using a fast RSI of 7. Once that top chart's also showing some confluence, we can begin selling the market down, and you see that scenario working out there. So instead of looking for a top or a bottom, what we're actually doing is just trading from the center and playing around in delta. That's the second way that we're going to talk about trading the RSI indicator, and why I believe it's just one of the best MT4 indicators around. Now I'm going to look at another new chart setup that we just done recently, and these are RSI levels that are based on levels that we've just traded around a lot over the years. And you can see these zones here on the RSI. I've got a top zone for my oversold and overbought, rather than trying to pick a perfect number. I've got a bottom zone here for my RSI, again, rather than trying to pick a perfect number. And I've got a central zone that's a little wider here because this is a 5-minute chart. What my brother done was to build some RSI arrows. These are triggered once we reach a certain level on the RSI. And if you leave the chart in this template and everything the way it is, the arrow is going to come at a point within that candle, and then the arrow is not going to simply disappear and repaint down to the next arrow, to the next candle, I mean. And that's very helpful because it's going to help you to really see what's happening in the market, and without basing the efficiency or inefficiency of an indicator on history that doesn't really exist, but I'll get off that little sandbox there. There are two ways to trade around these arrows, and I'm going to cover them and talk a little bit about this chart setup. This is our price channel. It's just a simple price channel. You might be familiar with it. It's the same price channel we used last year in our drift shifter strategy, which we gave away for free on our site. Lots of guys really liked that strategy. It was a trend-based strategy. This time, this is a counter-trend based strategy. So we're combining RSI with also being outside of these price channels at the time. If you were to get an alert and you were anywhere inside of the channel, you would just Ignore the alert in order to participate in this strategy. Most of the times you'll probably be outside of the channel. Now, you can trade off of 2 consecutive arrows, which probably is my favorite way of trading because it's going to lower your frequency of trading. And when you're trading counter trend, you really kind of want to make sure that the trend is closer to a point of exhaustion, or at least a little respite. And you also want to make sure that you're able to look over your chart yourself and see if the strategy works. You see, if the indicator was to just repaint itself every time as the market moves down, you couldn't see 2 consecutive arrows. You just see one arrow, which looks like a perfect call. That's all I'm getting at with that. Now, you can also take alerts that would have happened at 1 arrow as well. A little bit about money management. I'd probably wager less on the 1 arrow alerts. And if you're going to mix 1 and 2, I'd probably do it like that. All you really need in order to be profitable consistently is to have a few successful trades every day. We've also got some pivot points here on this chart. You can see that nice impulsive move crossing that level of resistance, breaking outside of our price channel, and again you see a drop off there. We didn't get an RSI alert there though, so that wouldn't have been a trade setup. Let's go back and look over some of these. There's 1 arrow, and again at rejection. There's my 2 consecutive arrows. You could have seen that line for our price channel drawing here and gotten in on that next candle and gotten a nice bit of rejection there. Again, there's my 2 consecutive arrows and that setup there, and pretty tight. I'm starting to see a lot of guys when they'll look at these or look at back testing. I want to make it clear that when you're seeing scenarios that are very tight like this, there's going to be sometimes a slight difference on your broker platform. I've mentioned that in other videos as well. There's 1 arrow. We see a little rejection there. There's 3 arrows. It's not impossible. Again, this is just a tool. You don't see a lot. You don't see the price channel here isn't very wide. This is a very consolidated area, and just looking at the price action that way lets you know that this little consolidated movement in this price channel from here to there is not very wide. However, you look at this same movement here going down this way, and you can see that it's just using the price channels along with price action. You can tell that that's a wider move. And if you're going to be trading counter trend, you want the trend to be at least exhausted for a small interval in time. That's all I'm getting at there. There's another arrow. Again, some nice rejection. And again, we see that there's that long move to the top before guys get a little tired, and we can't get any more buyers at that level, at least for a while. And actually they kind of rejected and fell off and then came back again there. Any strategy is going to work better when you're using price action along with the strategy. There's that consecutive arrow pattern. It's a very tight trade right there. There's just 1 arrow, but again, we're rejecting off of this resistance level here, this pivot point, and that's a great place. Also, this is a big impulsive candle here. That's also another good sign to look for in price action. There's another rejection off of that pivot point. but we didn't have the RSI there. But what you could do when using these indicators along with your noggin is to note that you have a rejection there, and when you see price approaching that same pivot point again, this is going to be the same pivot point that's on thousands of other traders charts that are using pivot points as well, and you can look for that repeat of that rejection there, that proven point of resistance. Not only is it just a pivot point, but at that point it would be a proven point of resistance. Again, there's an arrow, there's some nice rejection. We had broken outside of that price channel, and we got that nice rejection. Again, here we've broken outside of the price channel. We've got a pretty big impulsive candle. We've broken, we're above this central pivot, but we've broken that central pivot there, and we get a healthy rejection off of that candle. There goes two more consecutive arrows, and there's a healthy, well, a decent rejection there as well. So I think you guys get the gist of this. These are just, again, this is a tool. In my opinion, the best way to use the indicators are a tool to help you, and we're using the RSI arrows will have an audible alert with no delay. Sometimes I'm noticing counter trend strategies that some guys are out here selling on a website with a 20-second to a 1-minute delay, and what it means is that when you're actually in practice using the strategy or trying to trade around those alerts, the delay is too far away and you won't be able to get in at the price in practice. This is why we trade off of flash when we were doing counter trend signals on our own site. But this is a one-time fee. If you're interested in using this strategy for trading binary options or using this strategy for scalping on spot Forex, it's a one-time fee, a modest fee, probably less than what it would have cost you to pay someone to actually go out and do a custom code with the indicator and setting it up where it wouldn't be constantly repainting and just jumping the arrows all over the place. That's all I really had to cover for today, guys. Before I leave, I want to thank everyone. Our channel has recently crossed 1,000 subscribers, and I want to thank you guys so much for showing that support. And I want to encourage you to continue to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Now that we've made it to 1,000, I want to see this channel make it to 2,000 and above, to 5,000, to just as many people as we can, to share just information to help you to learn to read and interpret the charts for yourself. Stop a lot of these guys that are going out here that aren't and have never traded consistently these strategies, but they're out there, I'm seeing all over the place lately here on YouTube, charging exorbitant fees or charging monthly fees for even a strategy which this is a solid strategy that's been ran and tested by us for years, and it's a one-time fee, and that fee is not exorbitant. If you're interested, we invite you to help support our site as well by going to the site and checking this out. Help support us as well by continuing to like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Part of why we do this, the biggest part, the largest part of why we do this is because of our own life experience. Has taught us that it's the very best thing, rather than having anyone else manage your money for you, is to learn to manage your money and trade your money for yourself. That's the very best thing, and we're just so happy to see that you guys are interested in actually learning to read and interpret some charts for themselves. And we're always happy when we receive good feedback here on YouTube, good feedback in our private emails from you guys. So thank you very much for helping us to reach 1,000. Here's to 2,000 coming this year. Again, this has just been a video on one of the best MT4 indicators out there. It's popular and used by hundreds of thousands of traders all around the world, the RSI Indicator, the Relative Strength Index. Until next time, this is Alfred from BinaryOptionsTutor.com.